Alright, this is lab demo for CCS 447 microcontrollers 3 fall LAB06 using the ST7735 color LCD display. So we're to become familiar with the ST7735 with dimensions 128 by 160 color LCD. We're using the basic library functions provided to develop graphical features. So there's sample code available, and then we're going to use some of the functions in the graphics library to create new graphics and demo our code thus far. So this was a bit of an ordeal. The LCD that I bought did not match the pins provided, and I had to find my own configuration, which took quite a bit of time and emailing the company in order to get that information from them, because it's not readily provided on their website. I think that they're using other companies' files, and that's not the right one. It's this one. They're using Citronics's files, specifications for their parts, but the actual product name does not match. So it took quite a bit of time to work around that, but finally was able to get through it. And then, so looking at the code, I ran the demo code. The demo code ran just fine. It drew the grass, had the stick figure doing its thing. So what I did is I looked through the header file to find different functions that were created by Valvano. One of those here was the draw bitmap, which takes in an array, and then based on the starting dimensions here for x and y coordinates, and then the array here and the dimensions of that array, it will output and draw on the display that said image, which sounds simple enough, but it's actually quite tricky. You have to find a way to convert a bitmap into chunks of 16-bit half-words in order to get it to do that. And that's what I've done here. So I have about 257 lines of half-words stored in an array called test. Now I ran this with a couple of different versions here. I have a logo that I used as well, just as an idea of where to get started. But due to some technical limitations that I discovered doing this process, the UVision 4 has a limitation on the amount of code that we can use for the evaluation version, the light version, student version, whatever you want to call it. So unfortunately, I can't do anything really fancy with this display due to just the limitations, unless I want to go out and buy the software, which still kind of debating whether or not that's really worth it. But anyway, so down here in the main, commented out everything about drawing the circles and the sticks and all that was in the demo. The only thing that I kept here was the init using the red tabs, which is what my LCD display uses, because there's a couple of different ones I had to test out. PLLL, setting up the main clock speed. And then we have our draw bitmap here. Pretty simple. Just you name the name of the header file. You give it its dimensions and size, which I have conveniently stored inside here. So this is my file, and then you can check its dimensions. Boom, 64 by 64, and that's what that is. And then here's the x and y coordinates, just to place it right smack dab in the middle of the screen. All right, so now we're gonna load this program here. All right, it is loaded, verified, good to go. We're going to demo now. So we're gonna hit the reset button, and there it is. There's our image. Nice little image for our LCD display. But unfortunately, you can't really read any of the text that comes with it due to the limitations of code. I did want to display the bigger one, but wasn't able to do that. But this is what the image is It says getting a 35 when the class average was at 34.5. And then it says my genius literally knows no bounds. Clarkson here, very funny comedian, car enthusiast. Yeah, and that's the vast majority of that here. I did have to find a command line converter for this program in order to figure out how to convert the bitmaps into proper array structures, and that took quite a bit of time as well. But that was all extra. That was just me trying to do something fun with the library functions. But again, there's not really a whole lot I can do with that once I figured it out due to the limitations of the software. And that's it. That's the majority of this project here. Just figuring out where the pins were to be connected, how to connect them to the board. I'll go ahead and go through all that pin connection just because I feel like that's really important here. So I did not have a backlight. I had to split it up into an LED plus and an LED minus, which are broken down right here on pins 15, 16. And then the SCL, which is my serial interface clock signals. And then the SDA is the data transmitted from the board to the LCD display here. And that's that channel there. That was pins 9 and 8, and that's these guys here, which are connected to P2 and P5 over on that end. And then just the rest of the connections here. I have the A0 being my data commands, and then P7 is my reset, and then VCC and ground here are connected to ground, and then power and ground for both the LED backlight and those are connected to the 3.3 and the ground on the board. All right, and that's demo for LAB06 using the ST7735 color LCD.